It is absolutely mental how quickly the narrative changes in football, isn't it? 1 minute you're written off, the season is stuttering, the atmosphere is flat, and then 60 seconds. That is all it took. 60 seconds for the Brazilian powerhouse to remind every single one of us exactly what Newcastle United has been missing. You think this was just another game against Burnley? You think this was just a run-of-the-mill return from injury? Think again. This was a statement, a loud, aggressive, chest-thumping statement from a player who has been sitting on the sidelines, watching, waiting, and boiling with frustration. We are talking about a player who admits straight to our faces that he knows his own worth. That might sound like arrogance to the uneducated, but when you deliver a man-of-the-match performance immediately after weeks of injury hell, it's not arrogance, it's a warning shot to the rest of the Premier League. Joelinton is back, and judging by the fire in his eyes and the quotes coming out of the dressing room, he is not here to make up the numbers. He is here to save the season. But here is the thing that really gets me. It's the honesty. Usually footballers give you the PR script. Oh, I'm just happy to help the lads. Not Joelinton, not this time. He's come out and said it. I know my importance. That hit me like a ton of bricks, because he's right. And the fact that he felt the frustration of being helpless on the bench tells you everything about the mentality we have been lacking in recent weeks.
Can we just pause for a second and process the sheer madness of that start? You were returning from a groin injury. That is not a simple knock. That's the kind of injury that lingers in the back of your mind. You hesitate. You worry about stretching for that loose ball. You play it safe for the first 20 minutes to test the water, right? Not him. 1 minute on the clock. 60 seconds. That is barely enough time for the fans to find their seats at St James's Park or whatever they're watching from. And bang, deadlock broken. It is almost laughable how easy he made it look, considering the baggage he was carrying coming into this fixture. Newcastle World gave him the Man of the Match award, and honestly, who else could it be? It wasn't just the goal, it was the presence, it was the physical dominance. He played 94 minutes. 94! After a groin injury. That is absolutely absurd. Most medical teams would have him on a strict 60-minute limit. Wrap him in cotton wool, Eddie, they'd say. But Joelinton stayed out there, battling, scraping, fighting for every inch until the final whistle. And that goal, it wasn't just a goal, it was a release of pressure. You could feel it. The entire stadium, the entire fan base just exhaled. Because when Big Joe is on the pitch, the team's shape makes sense. When he's not there, we look disjointed, we look soft. But within 1 minute against Burnley, he told the world, I am the engine of this car and now we can finally drive. It is unbelievable to think about the contrast. 1 week we are scratching our heads, wondering where the goals are coming from, wondering where the bite in midfield has gone. The next, the big Brazilian is bulldozing through and setting the tone before the opposition has even tied their leases. That is world-class impact. You can't teach that. You either have that aura or you don't. And right now, he is the most critical piece of the puzzle.
Now, this is where it gets interesting. This is the part that most people will gloss over, but we need to dissect it. Joelinton spoke to the press post-match, and he didn't hold back on his feelings regarding his time on the treatment table. He used the word frustrating multiple times. He said, it's been frustrating to be away from the team, to be on the bench and not able to play important games that we had. Read between the lines here. This isn't just a player sad about being injured. This is a competitor who's been watching his teammates struggle and felt powerless. That creates a different kind of hunger. When you are watching important games slip away or performances drop, and you know that if you were on that pitch, things would be different. That eats you alive. He added, I'm happy to be back today. I know my importance for the team. There it is again. I know my importance. I absolutely love that. I want my players to know they are vital. I want them to carry that burden. Some players shrink under that pressure. They don't want to be the main man because it means if we lose, it's on them. Joelinton is embracing it. He is effectively saying, yes, I am crucial to this system and I am ready to prove it. He went on to say,
I know if I'm at my best, I can help the team in different ways. I hope I can be back at my best level in fitness and play my best football to help the team. Different ways. That is the key phrase. Because he isn't just a goal scorer, is he? He isn't just a destroyer. He is a hybrid. He is the glue. When he plays well, Bruno Guimaraes plays better. When he plays well, the defence is protected. He affects the game in 3 or 4 different zones. And knowing that he came through unscathed, that is the biggest victory of the night. Forget the 3 points for a second. Having a fit Joelinton for the run-in is worth more than any single win.
You could hear it in Eddie Howe's voice, couldn't you? The relief, the sheer weight lifting off his shoulders. The Gaffer has been under the microscope recently. The stuttering season narrative has been building. The critics have been sharpening their knives, waiting for another slip-up. And then his big midfield general returns and delivers a masterclass. Howe called it a massive win. He said, "I don't think it really matters tonight so much in terms of how we did it. We just needed to do it." That is the honesty of a manager who knows he was in a scrap. It wasn't about playing champagne football. It wasn't about 700 passes and tiki-taka. It was about survival. It was about grit. We just needed to do it. That is the mentality of a team that is fighting for its life, fighting to turn a corner. Howe continued, "A really strong start from us in recognition of how important the game was for us. I can't praise the players enough for how we battled through it." Battled. That is the word of the day. Burnley is not an easy place to go. They make it ugly. They make it hard. If you turn up there with a soft underbelly, you get turned over. But Newcastle didn't. They started strong, thanks to you-know-who, and they held on. But look at what Howe said about the second half. That second half was a massive 45 minutes for us. We needed to get over the line and put credit to the players for how they saw the game out and the character of the group. This is crucial. We have seen Newcastle crumble late in games before. We have seen heads drop, but not this time. Why? Because the character was back. And I don't think it is a coincidence that the character returns the moment Joelinton returns. He sets the standard for physical effort. If he's running himself into the ground after a groin injury, nobody else has an excuse to stop running. He raises the floor of the entire squad. We have Crystal Palace coming up this weekend. This is the litmus test. One win against Burnley is great, but if we go to the next game and drop points, we are back to square one. We are back to the stuttering season headlines. But having Joelinton play 94 minutes unscathed changes the entire complexion of the Palace game. It means Howe doesn't have to shuffle the pack as much. It means we have a physical presence to deal with Palace's midfield. Imagine the boost in the dressing room right now. The lads are looking around and seeing their enforcer back. They are seeing the guy who puts his body on the line. That gives you an extra 10%. It makes you walk a bit taller in the tunnel. However, there is a danger here. The danger is complacency. The danger is thinking, "Oh, Joe is back, he'll sort it." No, he cannot do it alone. He can be the catalyst, but the rest of the squad needs to step up. Isak needs to be sharp. Bruno needs to control the tempo. The back four needs to stay solid. Howe said, "In my opinion, we're moving in the right direction in terms of level of performance. Moving in the right direction is good, but we need points on the board. We need momentum. This league waits for no one. If you stand still, you get eaten alive." The win against Burnley was a massive win because it stopped the rot. Now the surgery begins. Now we have to actually fix the underlying issues of consistency. So, where does this leave us? It leaves us with a glimmer of genuine hope. Not the fake hope we sometimes sell ourselves, but real, tangible evidence that with all key players on the pitch, we are a different animal. Joelinton's return is not just about a player coming back from injury. It is about the return of our identity. He embodies what this Newcastle team is supposed to be under Eddie Howe. Aggressive, direct, hard-working and unapologetic. I know my importance. I keep going back to that quote. It is stuck in me head. It is the kind of quote that you put on the dressing room wall. It is a challenge to himself and to his teammates. He has set the bar now. He scored in the first minute. He was man of the match. He cannot drop below that level now. If he stays fit, and that is a big if in this brutal league, I genuinely believe he can drag this team up the table. He has the shoulders for it. He has the mentality for it. But let me ask you this. Do you trust the rest of the squad to match his intensity? Because that is going to be the deciding factor. Joe Linton can be world class. He can be a monster. But football is played with 11 men. The stuttering season can be turned around. The Gaffer believes it, Joe believes it, but belief only gets you so far. Now they have to go out against Crystal Palace and do it all over again. No excuses, no groin niggles, just pure performance. What a return, what a player. But the hard work, it's only just starting. Don't blink, because this season is far from over. I'm Rodrigo, and that is the reality. Catch you in the next one.